Losing a job is about so much more than just losing a paycheck. It strikes at the very core of who we are. Our work is often tied to our identity, our sense of purpose, and our daily routine. When that is suddenly taken away, it can feel like the ground beneath our feet has vanished. The shock and the grief are real. It's an emotional weight that can be incredibly heavy to carry, often in silence. People feel a deep sense of loss, not just for their income, but for their community of colleagues, their contribution to the world, and the future they had carefully planned. This isn't just business, it is deeply personal and can shake a person's confidence to its foundation. The moment someone is told their job is gone, a storm of emotions can hit all at once. There is confusion, anger, and a profound sense of betrayal. You start to question everything. What did I do wrong? Am I not valuable? How will I provide for my family? These questions can echo in your mind, creating a cycle of anxiety and self-doubt that is difficult to break. It's a wound that goes much deeper than a financial spreadsheet can ever show. I've heard from so many people over the years who describe this moment as one of the most isolating experiences of their lives, a time when they felt completely and utterly alone in their struggle. This emotional toll is often ignored in the corporate world. We talk about downsizing and restructuring in such cold, detached language. But we must remember that behind every number is a human being with a family, with dreams, and with a heart that is now hurting. The sudden absence of a daily purpose can lead to feelings of worthlessness and despair. It's essential that we start talking about this hidden crisis. We must acknowledge that the mental and emotional health of an employee is just as important as their professional output. Their well-being matters, especially when their world has been turned upside down by a decision they had no control over. The journey after a layoff is not a straight line. There are good days filled with hope and bad days filled with the crushing weight of rejection. It's a roller coaster of feelings that can impact every part of a person's life, from their sleep to their relationships. We need to create a space where it is safe for people to talk about these struggles without judgment. It is in sharing our stories and listening with an open heart that we can begin to heal. Recognizing this pain is the first step toward building a more compassionate and supportive world, both inside and outside the workplace. We all have a role to play in lifting each other up during these difficult times. The way a layoff is handled can make all the difference between a difficult transition and a traumatic event. When it is done without respect or clear communication, the pain is magnified. Look at what happened in April 2025 at the United States Department of Health and Human Services. Thousands of dedicated public servants received a cold, impersonal email early one Tuesday morning. They were told they were being let go, effective immediately. Many didn't even see the email before they left for work. They arrived at their offices only to find their key cards no longer worked. They were locked out, literally and figuratively, from the careers they had built. Imagine the confusion and humiliation of standing in a long line outside your own workplace, unable to get inside to even retrieve your personal belongings. That was the reality for so many. People were crying. They were in shock. The process was described by those who lived it as chaotic, cruel, and completely demoralizing. There was no chance to say goodbye to colleagues, no final meeting to honor their service, no sense of closure. It was an abrupt and brutal end to years of dedicated work. This kind of treatment sends a clear message to people. You are disposable, and your feelings do not matter. That is a devastating blow to anyone's spirit. To make a terrible situation even worse, the process was filled with confusion and what felt like intentional cruelty. Some employees at the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services were told to contact a deceased former director if they wanted to dispute their termination. Can you imagine the frustration and despair? Others were given incorrect performance ratings that could negatively impact the severance pay they desperately needed. Senior officials at agencies like the CDC and FDA were offered transfers to rural locations far from their homes, a tactic that seemed designed to force them to quit so the government wouldn't have to pay them severance at all. It was a system that added insult to injury. This is not just a story about government agencies, it is a lesson for every leader and every company. How you treat people on their way out says everything about your character and your values. When employees are treated like they are just numbers on a spreadsheet, the emotional damage is profound. The shock, the anxiety, and the sense of betrayal linger long after the final paycheck is gone. Stories from these workers reveal a deep sense of being discarded without a second thought. Their experiences are a powerful reminder that there is a human cost to these decisions, and we cannot afford to ignore it. The mental health of these individuals must be our priority. When a layoff happens, the pain doesn't stop with those who lose their jobs. It creates ripples that spread throughout the entire organization, affecting everyone who remains. The employees who are left behind, often called survivors, are not simply lucky. They are witnesses to the trauma their friends and colleagues have endured. They walk through quieter hallways, past empty desks that were once filled with familiar faces. This creates a climate of fear and uncertainty. Everyone starts to wonder, am I next? This constant anxiety makes it difficult to focus on work and trust in leadership. Their sense of security is shattered. One employee at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention talked about hearing her colleagues crying in the hallways after the mass layoffs were announced. She spoke of a powerful sense of survivor's guilt. Why them and not me? This feeling is heavy. It's a mix of relief, sadness, and guilt that can be incredibly isolating. The morale plummets. The collaborative and supportive environment that once existed is replaced by suspicion and fear. People become less willing to take risks or speak up, worried that any misstep could put them on the next list. The company may have cut costs, but it has also lost something invaluable: the trust and loyalty of its people. The impact of these layoffs on the remaining workforce is a significant, yet often overlooked part of the story. The loss of institutional knowledge is immense. When experienced people are forced out, they take their wisdom, their skills, and their history with them.